This already has a voice. The headstock doesn't need to interrupt it. It just needs to continue it. So I'm not starting with a new board. I'm starting here. There's just one small problem. This is too thick. And my usual tools are off limits. Continuity sounds simple. It rarely is. Okay, so I know I pulled a little bit of a fast one. Those pieces you saw in the intro are not the pieces I'm going to be using to make the headstock out of. They are body offcuts, they're just from a slightly different area. I've actually chosen the parts that came from the upper and lower bouts. Why? Because I get a sort of bookmatch effect if I do this right. If I do it wrong, well, we're not gonna get into that. In any case, I do have to joint off the edges here. These were the exterior edges. And because there was some epoxy involved, I decided to break out this less than stellar hand plane I made. I'm just hacking off the excess junk before I use the finer planes. Saving myself some wear and tear. It's a rather nice joint. I'd say that looks pretty good. This may be slightly tapered, but it'll pull out with the glue up. Now the real decision is what to align with what. I think I'm going to try and make this white spot as well aligned as possible, and we'll just let the cracks kind of fall off. It gives it sort of a leaf-like effect. I don't even know if I'm going to use the cracks or not. Still just masking tape. It's just a really cheap roll that I have no great way of using up. And once the glue dries, I get to do one of my favorite things. Make a decision. In this case, which piece will become the head plate? Unfortunately, in this blank, there is only room for one. So once I cut it, there's no going back. There's still one other problem to resolve. This is rather chunky. This piece of material is, well, it's way too thick to be a head plate. Now, I could pull the rule that says I can go buy a appropriately thicknessed head plate and therefore I can use my tools to thickness this. I'm not going to do that. Well, I could thin this out with the hand plane. I'm also not going to do that. I actually have a different technique. One that is, well, a nice halfway medium, I think. And it once again will involve the router. This tool really is the MVP, isn't it? Or wouldn't that be the MVT? So I've selected my section. This is where things get interesting. I can't just thin out the top section, because if I do that, I'm going to screw up the book match. So I need to thin it from the bottom, but locate exactly where I want it. So what I did is I drew some lines out to the outside edge and then carried them around the back, which then allows me to use the template on the back side. But how are we going to thin this? Simple. I'm going to plunge in the router to the appropriate depth and then work from the inside of the head plate outward. Because I have such a large base plate, this is just like having runners all over the place. Really does work for such a small piece like this. Even if it is a bit messy. So we've thicknessed out enough for the back that I should be able to cut a raw blank out of this. I've outlined it in chalk because I don't want to cut right up to the line. And you could use a jigsaw for this. I'm just gonna use a coping saw. You know, cutting with a coping saw is a bit like driving a semi-truck. You have to make sure you don't end up down a dead-end road where you can't back up. Hold on a second. Let's cut through the neighbor's lawn. There we go. And since I've used it twice now, let's go ahead and put that on the price tag. We've already addressed the matter of the headstock template before. This one's just thicker. And let's be honest, the other one was way too thin to begin with. I chose not to use the super glue accelerator, thinking I wanted the ability to reposition. I'm gonna regret that. Notice how the front edge of that head plate isn't being held down to the template at all? Yeah, I didn't see that. It's a good thing I chose to tune up my scraper at this moment, because the head plate came completely loose and I had a chance to fix it. If that had come loose when I was doing the routing, this whole piece might just be a hunk of scrap about now. Talk about getting lucky. Whew. This is gonna go one of two ways. Really good, or really bad, instantly. If it goes bad, I'm shopping for a new head plate. One head plate all surfaced up. And I gotta say, I'm almost wondering if I chose the wrong side. It's not as nice of a book match, but it's got some character. Either way, there's no use crying over spilt walnut here. Now, I'm thinking about trying something on this I have never done before. I want to try cutting the truss rod access out of this plate so that it sits flush inside, and do it with magnets. So one advantage I do have is my headstock template does include where my truss rod access is. So I've transferred that onto this piece of masking tape because I need to make sure that that entire thing is covered by whatever plate I make. So now I'm just playing around with some different designs. I was originally thinking long and skinny, but it's just not quite working. So let's try playing around with some different geometric shapes and fight with the compass while we're at it. I don't know why, but they must use some kind of funky lead size for this because I can't seem to get stuff to match it very well. So I'm just setting myself up with a couple marks equidistant from the center and putting some arcs in. You know, this is all experimental. I really had no idea what I wanted this to look like going in. I'm pretty sure this is the first appearance of this tool. You might be thinking, well, that's just a coping saw. No, it's really not. That is a jeweler's saw. I believe sometimes known as a fret saw. What's so special about a fret saw? Well, it uses really tiny blades. Think of this like a scroll saw for hand users. I think that looks pretty good. Now I have a few decisions to make. The first is, do I think I even need to file this to clean it up? I'll give it a little sand, but the cut coming off of that jeweler saw is pretty good by itself. Now, in filing it, I could end up making it wide enough, and I may have to put a veneer stripe down one side just to take up some of the slack. But it's never going to be a tight fit. If If I make it a tight fit, I run the risk of it getting permanently stuck in there, and that's no good. So the other thing is I had to make it wider because I needed a spot to land the magnets on either side of the slot here. Because unfortunately, the original plan was to go long and skinny and land them at the tip and the tail of the slot here. But there's just not enough room up here at the head to put a magnet, even a really small one. It just didn't feel right. So I ended up going wide so I could put magnets left and right as opposed to top and bottom. And I appreciate that this shape may not be everybody's cup of tea. But this is my cup of tea. Obligatory fine detail work. Really didn't take much, just a little bit of touch up and it was ready to go. And now to cut the end of the fretboard off just a little bit more. I'm not taking the whole thing off yet, but this overhang I have, it's thicker than the nut I will be using. So we need to remove some. It's not a cut it off twice and it's still too short moment this time. And lessons learned from the past: use a stop block or run the risk of cutting something you didn't want to. Although a stop block like this won't prevent you from cutting crooked. Good thing that the rest of this is getting cut off later. This is not precision work. This is just making space. Unfortunately, the camera cut out on me, so I just tuned this up with this little triangular file. So now when I put the head plate on top and the cavity cover, if I press on this, I have just a little bit of play. I will probably end up adjusting this further, but I think we're just about ready to attach a headstock. Now this one took me a minute to figure out, rather embarrassingly. Needed a way to align the new head plate to the headstock without it slipping around all over the place. So I needed a place to locate some guide pins. Well, I don't know why I didn't think to just use guide pins where the tuners are gonna go. I don't know how many hours I spent going around trying to figure out how to do this, only to realize the answer was staring me in the face. Let's use a little masking tape and super glue as a clamp, why don't we? I'm going to spend the time to clean up the head plate now, because sanding this out nice and smooth later is a lot more difficult. Wait a second. Could it possibly be he's going to use masking tape as masking tape, not double stick? Yes, in fact, it is true, folks. I'm going to mark this out with a pencil line and then cut to the outside of it. That way, when I apply the glue hopefully doesn't squeeze out where my truss rod access cover is. It's just a lot less mess to clean up if you pre-plan. You'll see after applying the glue, I can peel up the tape, leaving myself just a little tiny buffer zone where there's no glue between the two layers. Shouldn't be any issue. There's enough glue everywhere else. I've also made sure not to put a caul right over the top of that access cover, because I need to make sure that there's no squeeze out in that area. Hence the small squeeze clamps that you can't see because of other clamps. Now then, let's get the rest of the headstock to size. There's just one problem. The fretboard sticks out too much. So we'll use a headstock template as nothing more than a spacer. And to make sure it's nice and flush, I gotta clean up those toothpicks. And yes, masking tape and super glue is back. Apparently, using masking tape as masking tape was just a short reprieve. In any case, all cutting will be referencing off of the walnut headplate, not the template. The template is just there as a spacer. For me, this moment, it never gets any easier. There is always a risk that something's going to tear out, and realistically, you either have to make a sacrifice or all your hard work is gone to dust. Quite literally. But I suppose that is the philosophy of building guitars in general. There's always a moment at which it can all just go completely wrong. Sometimes it's the smallest things that get you too. One little fret slot cut. One little tiny drill hole that just ends up in the wrong spot. Thankfully, this time we got through it all right. And on that happy note, I'm going to end the episode. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.